the students or colleagues that are the loudest, they all sit in the back. Now I was just wondering whether you can hear me properly and whether you can confirm that the loudest students are all the way in the back. Can you hear me? Okay. I heard a very soft yes. Can I hear you? Now I was just wondering whether
thank you.
You can hear me properly and whether you can confirm
now I was
that the loudest students are all the way tell you a little bit about the role of the next generation physiotherapists. And actually that means a lot of you. And I'm going to show you something. Maybe you already know it, but it's a beautiful made and it relates to physiotherapy. So actually, one thing that I would really like you to remember after my lecture or presentation is get moving, because moving makes you healthy. Now, regarding the future of physiotherapy, we're going to have a look at developments in the world regarding health, regarding global health. And there's a report from the World Health Organization about aging and health. And when you look at the statistics, the world population is aging and it has its effect on the health. By 2050, approximately more than 30% of the world population will be 60 years and older. And, sorry. And what impact does that have? There's less younger people in the workforce. It's going to decrease of workforce. It's going to be a possible shortage of healthcare workers since the demand for healthcare is increasing. And there's an increase of years that are lived with a disability. Now when you look, the older population in the world will rise from 900 million in 2015 to 2 billion in 2050. Here on the map you can see the growth. Now why? So people live longer, yeah, and that's in itself it's very positive.
Copy the presentation to our website. Would you like to give that file? If you could give us the file. You mean this is the presentation? Yes, the presentation, right? This is, okay, wait, no, you don't have to do that. You can copy this one. Would like?
Yeah, but I can, because it's on the computer as well.
Okay.
I don't think I'm using this.
So whether it's in the order 1, 2, 3, just like that.
It's AAA India.
AAA India.
Yeah.
So, okay. Only one presentation is there.
There's one presentation AAA India.
So I've got it.
Yeah.
Just like that. Thank you.
No, it's fine. They just asked me to give the presentation for the live stream, so other people can view the presentation as well. What is happening in the world is that the world population is aging way quicker than it used to before. And if you look at the last arrow, which is India, it's also starting from 2020 on. Also India will have to deal with an increasing of the aging of the population, and it will face some healthcare problems as well. Now, there's a lot of ways you can spend those extra 20 years. You can travel, you can spend time with your grandchildren, you can go to college again or work, but it all depends on your capabilities regarding your health status. And there's no typical older person. Everyone ages in a different way. Also, health in older age is not random. Only a small portion is due to genetic inheritance, but most is due to ongoing interactions between broader characteristics of individuals and the environment they inhabit. Our personal characteristics include factors, sex, ethnicity, as well as occupation, educational attainment, and wealth, because these all contribute to our social position and our ability to access resources. The environment includes home, neighborhood, community. Factors that influence aging are where you live, transportation options, and the healthcare system in the neighborhood. Now here's a slide. It says something about health behavior in the Netherlands, and it relates to the influence that the level of education has on the lifestyle, the healthy lifestyle. And what it shows is that alcohol abuse, drug abuse, is more prominent with less educated people, and more well-educated people are more willing to sport. Oh, this is, something's going wrong here. Now, healthy aging is an investment and it's not a cost. Older people make many positive contributions to society and health, and social care expenditures for older people are an investment rather than a cost. These investments bring benefits to older people and returns for society as a whole. Now, but aging comes with diseases, and NCD is a non-communicable disease, and I'll explain later what that means. But the biggest killers are heart disease, stroke, and chronic lung diseases. The biggest causes of disability are sensory impairments, back and neck pain, COPD, depressive disorders, falls, diabetes, and dementia. Now, what is an NCD? It's a non-communicable disease. It's a medical condition or disease that is by definition non-infectious and non-transmissible. I'll come back to that later. Now, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, General of the United Nations, has stated that the burden of non-communicable diseases is a public health emergency in slow motion. So it's some kind of a threat to the world. And the World Health Organizations, United Nations, and also the World Confederation of Physiotherapy have decided to take action. And it's not just the Western world, Europe, the US. It's threatening the whole world. It's a world problem that we're facing. Now, what kind of diseases are we talking about? It's cardiovascular disease, chronic respiratory disease, diabetes, and cancer. Those are the 4 NCDs that lead to the high mortality rate.
Cardiovascular disease is Australia's and the world's #1 killer. In 2011 alone, it claimed the lives of over 45,000 Australians. That's 125 people per day, 1 death every 12 minutes. And you know what? These deaths are largely preventable, but the risk factors remain high. Over 60% of Australians are now overweight, and only 1 in 3 people get sufficient daily exercise. The financial cost is enormous. From 2009 to 2010, cardiovascular disease was the main cause for 482,000 hospitalizations, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. While advances in medical research continue to help increase life expectancy, the community at large isn't playing their part. In 2011, 12.7 million Australians aged 18 and over were either overweight or obese. And diabetes is now Australia's fastest growing chronic disease. So why should the increasing rates of obesity and diabetes concern us? Because they are the major precursors of cardiovascular disease. The World Health Organization estimated that 17 million people around the world died from cardiovascular disease in 2008. And due to diabetes and obesity problems, this number is expected to surge to 23 million by 2030. So what can you do? Make healthy living a habit for you and your family. Drink plenty of water, eat lots of fresh food and exercise regularly. And support medical research. Let's make today's...
Now you probably cannot read this slide. It's a list of the most common non-communicable diseases in the world, published by The Lancet in June this year. And if we take a closer look, low back pain, and it's not related to mortality, but it's related to years lived with disability. So how much problems do you experience from this non-communicable disease in your daily life? Major depression, neck pain, hearing loss, migraine, diabetes, COPD, anxiety disorders, and other musculoskeletal disorders. Now, as a physiotherapist, I see a lot of non-communicable diseases in this list that we can play a role. So this is significant for us. Think of NCDs leading to the highest level of disability. Musculoskeletal disorders is number one. Neurological disorders and mental disorders. And I think, and I'm not alone, it's the WCPT that states that we can play a role in all those NCDs. Because all NCDs, and it is stated by the World Health Organization in the world, can be prevented or, if identified early, treated and managed in a way that significantly reduces disability, financial and social costs, and prolongs healthy years of life. So it's not just the health field in the world that is addressing this issue. It's the World Bank and the Economic Forum that see this development of the NCDs as a threat to the world economy. Now, if you look regarding diabetes, there's two types of diabetes. Type 1, more genetic, but type 2 has to do with the lifestyle. And you can prevent it by being active, having a healthy diet, and make sure you have enough physical activity. Overweight or obesity has a high relationship with diabetes type 2. And there's one thing, 3.2 million deaths annually, every year in the world that is related to insufficient physical activity. And we can think of the people in the USA, that are the big people in the USA, inactive, too less physical activity, but it's not just a US problem, it's a world problem. And the Australian Physiotherapy Organization has made a nice clip for that. Apparently there's no sound. Now, I don't, maybe you're familiar with this picture. It's a very funny picture from the USA. It was published also in a report from the WHO. You see a fitness center here, People want to move, you can use the stairs, but instead most people choose to use the escalator. It's unbelievable that it's built like this. And finally it leads to death. But now it comes to physical therapy. We had a look at global developments regarding aging and NCDs. There's substantial evidence, so there's a lot of evidence that physical activity has a positive influence on your health. There's also good evidence that these effects are there under guidance and supervision of a physical therapist. You can read the beneficial effects, and physical activity really improves the quality of life. Now, regarding obesity or overweight, have a look at the American football player. It's not just obesity or overweight that is a problem for your health. But if it's combined with physical inactivity, chances of mortality are 3 times as high as when you're having a healthy lifestyle. So overweight in itself is not directly a problem, but overweight and physical inactivity is finally, and I say it a little bluntly, killing you. Okay, what has physiotherapy to do with all this? We first have to have a look, what is physiotherapy? And the World Confederation of Physical Therapy states that we move people. But also, they state that we promote wellness, mobility, and independence. And remember the promotion. I'll come back to that later. Of course, we treat and prevent many physical problems. Some other evidence regarding the effectiveness of physical therapy. And I'm glad the doctor this morning also had a promotional speech for this. Now there's one researcher that had a look of, can a physiotherapist address all the 4 risk factors of NCDs? Not just physical activity. And the research showed that yes, we can, but physiotherapists did not feel well trained enough, and the practice standards or the practical environment in which they had to perform their work had to change as well. But remember, those educational requirements, the physiotherapist felt too less equipped. Now, what are those risk factors that we should influence as a PT? It's the use of tobacco, it's physical inactivity, it's harmful alcohol use, and unhealthy diets. Now, in itself, you wouldn't think of PT being someone to address the tobacco use of a patient. But those 4 risk factors are very much associated to some health problems. Raised blood pressure, overweight, obesity, hyperkalemia, and hyperlipidemia. So what it basically states is that as a physiotherapist, we should do health promotion. and we should try to influence the behavior of the patient, of the client, to adopt a healthy lifestyle. Now, in the summer of 2015, in the Hong Kong Journal of Physiotherapy, there was an article about a research performed here in India, looking at risk factors in the working environment and doing a screening with the employees about those risk factors for the NCD. And what those Indian researchers concluded, that the knowledge of those risk factors can be used by physiotherapists to implement a health program in the workplace as a means of reducing NCD-related economic and social burdens in India. What it means is that if you can find the risk factors in your workplace, and maybe you can do something about it and prevent people getting sick or getting ill, it will save the employer costs, and it will keep the person working instead of maybe getting sick, having a lot of costs for healthcare, and maybe getting unemployed and socially deprived. So one of the future roles of the physiotherapist is being a health advocate. The WCPT, again, our World Organization of Physiotherapy, states health promotion is one of the key aspects for a physiotherapist. Next to disease prevention, prevention becomes more and more important. Healthy lifestyle, activity. So, do we train those physiotherapists that well? And if we look at the description of physiotherapy, what is physiotherapy in every country, the competence profile or the professional profile. This is the CSP, it's the Chartered Society of Physiotherapists in England, and this is their profile. And there's on the left a few elements. Now the first three are really related to the more common knowledge about physiotherapy. It's what we do, it's treating the patient. But there's an added list of all kinds of qualities that is expected of a physiotherapist as well. And if we have a closer look at some newer frameworks from Australia and the Netherlands, only one out of all the list is really related to the clinical skills of the physiotherapist. So the importance of the other skills is getting more and more. A communicator, which means you have to be able to influence the behavior of your patient. And in order to do that, you need to have good communication skills and good knowledge about psychology and knowledge about attitude, health beliefs, and behavior. How can you change that? It also states a collaborative practitioner. As a physiotherapist, you cannot work alone. You always have to work with other professionals in the field. For instance, dietitians, nurses, doctors, but also social workers, and maybe also with the local government in order to increase, promote healthy lifestyle. Now, especially in Australia and the Netherlands, manager capacities or leader capacities, persons who can solve problems, problem solving, and of course a researcher. And there's a debate going on whether a bachelor physiotherapist, what level of researcher should he or she be? Should he only be able to interpret it, research, being able to read the articles and put the knowledge into practice in the clinic? or should you also be able to participate in research? There's different opinions on that, and there's no right or wrong answer. But the least level that a physiotherapist should have is being able to read scientific articles, being able to judge the quality of the article, and being able to implement the knowledge into the clinical practice. Now there's some other influences on the profession. And of course, it's technology. It's going really, really fast in the last few years. But it's also, what I mentioned, interdisciplinary healthcare. Looking beyond your health academy. It's also looking at local governments, politics, research I mentioned, and we have to deal with more demanding clients. They know more. It's the internet that gives them information, and they have higher level of standards. Now this may not be the real future regarding technology, but what's happening on everyone's mobile phone is the quantified self, and it's the use of personal data to improve your own health, your heart rate, the amount of steps you take, and hopefully this will give you
Wearable technologies are all the rage. Even your grandma is counting steps with her pedometer these days. It's easy to write off this wave of technology as some kind of passing fad, bound for a box in the attic between the Nordic track and those shake weights. But this trend is a revolution in disguise. This is the age of the quantified self. Mobile health devices like the Fitbit, Up, Pulso 2, Strive, and the forthcoming iWatch collect constant, real-time information about sleep patterns, eating habits, stress levels, and much, much more. This data is not just for bragging on social media. The information is bridging the gap between personal and public health. With wearable technologies, companies can say with nearly 100% certainty that their users in Tokyo sleep the least, and their users in Stockholm do the most walking. When the recent Napa earthquake hit, Jawbone reported that 93% of its Up users near the epicenter woke up at exactly 3:20 a.m., right when the shaking started. 45% of those people never went back to sleep that night. It's projected that more than 485 million wearables will be sold annually by 2018. And all that data about your steps, stretches, sprints, and snoozes will contribute to one of the largest data sets of human behavior ever recorded, and in it, a potential goldmine for healthcare providers and medical researchers. That's why projects like OpenM Health are trying to standardize this incoming data. With a basic set of guidelines, doctors may be able to use commercial tracking technology to make recommendations to patients, or perform studies on an emerging phenomenon. This data would have been impossible to imagine 5 years ago. 5 years from now, it may be the foundation of an entirely new medical system. But who knows? It's so new that nobody fully understands the implications yet. One thing is for certain. The trend is not going away anytime soon.
So no one knows exactly where this will end. But as a physiotherapist, you can expect your patients coming in with their mobile phone and saying, I have this app and it says this and this and this. Is that good or is that bad? So you have to deal with that technology. Or you can use it. You can use the data of your patient. And a lot of technology is still expensive, but it's becoming cheaper and cheaper when we progress. Now, the next is about robotics, and it's in the future, but I'll just show you what's being researched in Europe, for instance, to deal with a decreased workforce. For instance, nurses going to elderly to take care of them or to watch over them, but with a decreased workforce, because the population is aging, there's a lot of challenges. And I'm not sure whether you can read the subtitles. Just watch and I'll explain it a little bit later.
sono conosciuta come nonna Lea, ma sono Lea Ralli, ho 94 anni adesso, vivo a Roma e scrivo. Di libri ne ho scritti tantissimi, sono arrivata a 94 libri e tutti i giorni, oltre che occuparmi di casa, passo sempre al computer perché ho un blog sul web che a un certo momento va messo tutti i giorni qualche aggiornamento. È da parecchio che sono stata coinvolta in un progetto molto bello, è la costruzione di un robot salvavita che messo in una casa di una persona anziana li può aiutare nel momento del bisogno, se c'è una difficoltà o anche un incidente. Il progetto si chiama Giraffe Plus, però io l'ho chiamato Mr. Robby.
Il progetto Giraffe Plus mira a costruire un sistema integrato che combina un insieme di sensori ambientali e fisiologici con un robot di telepresenza per favorire l'interazione sociale. Per i sensori ambientali abbiamo sensori di movimento, sensori di pressione o occupazione, sensori che indicano l'utilizzo di un elettrodomestico o anche sensori che indicano ad esempio se una finestra o una porta sono aperte o chiuse. Esempi di sensori fisiologici sono misuratori di pressione sanguigna oppure misuratori di livello di ossigeno nel sangue o di glicemia nel sangue.
Questo permette, come dire, una risposta punto per punto di quelle che possono essere le esigenze del paziente stesso.
Buonasera signora Lea, come andiamo?
Ma io sto bene?
Allora, siccome lei è una patita del computer,
dovrebbe fare più attenzione
a livello della colonna vertebrale.
Lo so che mi spiate tutte le mie mosse.
La possibilità che può avere una persona anziana di stare in casa è dovuta anche alle sue capacità cognitive, per cui un monitoraggio costante della sua routine ci permette di capire se c'è qualche defiance di tipo cognitivo.
Ho la mente ancora lucida perché questa è la cosa essenziale e seguo questo progetto perché devo valutare e vedere un po' se veramente risponde alle cose per cui è stato creato.
Attualmente stiamo testando il sistema in 6 case reali di persone anziane.
So, it's environmental, there's all kind of sensors in this house of this older lady that register where she is, what she's doing, which materials she's using, and there's also a robot that she can talk with, that talks back. And it's one way to have a look at the future of elderly care. But I've been talking for about half an hour now, and everybody's been sitting, and some people are a little bit moving, but actually sitting for that long is so unhealthy. So please stand up. Please stand up. We're physiotherapists or nurses. We're all in the health department. You've seen the opening video, and it ended with lead by example, because now you know. So it's always good to move a little around. So I'd say turn around like this. Everyone? Yeah? Just make a short round. Make your blood flow. Increase a little bit. Have a bit of a laugh. It's healthy. Laughing is healthy as well. It decreases blood pressure. So okay, you can sit down again and you can continue. Now the educational question regarding what I've told you before is, do we prepare our physios for the future well enough for one use their own personal skills? It's not a book we hand over at the beginning of the 4-year education and say, learn this and you'll be an excellent physiotherapist. But it's a person coming into the education that needs to be, that has own ideas. And are we willing to discuss those own ideas about health? What does this student want to learn? But also communication skills, very important. Regarding what I previously said, physical activity. Do we train our physios of the future well enough to guide physical activities of all ages. Obesity with children is a very high needs to be risk that has health problems in later life. And are we willing to discuss those own ideas about health influence? What does the student want to learn? Are we also communication skills to influence behavior? Are we really good educators? Regarding what I previously said, physical activity. Do we train our physios of the future well enough to guide communication skills? Physical, it's something that you have to question ages. As an educator, obesity with children is a very hard needs to be. There's no recipe that has health problems in later life. Do you feel you now we're willing to discuss those own ideas we have about health? I didn't talk about this. What does the student want to learn? Are we able communication skills to influence behaviors, or are we really good educators? Regarding what I previously said, especially physical activity. Do we train our physios of the future well enough to identify this physical? It's something that you have to question ages. As an educator, obesity with children is a very hard needs to be. There's no recipe that has health problems later life. Now we're willing to discuss those own ideas we have about health. I didn't talk about this. Students want to learn. Are we communication skills to influence behaviors, or are we really good educators? Regarding what I previously said, or they have to especially physical activities. Do we train our physios of the future well enough to identify this physical? It's something that you have to question ages. As an educator, obesity with children is a very hard needs to be. There's no recipe that has later life. Now we're using to discuss those own ideas we have about health. And talk about students have learned communication skills to a very important really good regarding what I previously said, how they have to make physical activities. Do we train our physios of the future well enough to identify this physical? It's something that you have to question ages. As an educator, obesity with children is a very hard needs to be. There's no recipe that has to be trained later life. Using those own ideas about health. Communication skills very regarding what I previously said, how they have to make physical activities. So we train one of our physios of the future well enough to identify this physical. It's something that ages. As an educator, obesity with children is a very hard needs to be. There's no recipe that has to be trained later life. Using those own ideas about health. Communication situation very regarding what I previously said, how they have to make physical activities. So we train one of our well enough to identify this physical. It's something that ages. As an educator, obesity with children is a very hard needs to be. That has those own ideas about health. Communication regarding what I said, how they have to make something ages. As an educator, obesity with children is very hard to be. Those own ideas about communication regarding what I said, how they have to make something regarding what I said, how they have to make Regarding what I tell them how I'm going to regarding what I tell them how I'm going regarding what I tell them how I'm going share your passion for education, have your ideas, and then we will what I hear regarding what I share your passion.
Thank you, sir.
Have your ideas.
We invite Mr. Ruben Sanchez, National Project Manager of Section
what I hear regarding what your passion.
Thank you, sir. We invite Mr. Ruben Sanchez, National Project Manager of Section
what I hear regarding what your passion.
Thank you, sir. We invite Mr. Ruben Sanchez, National Project Manager of Section
what I hear regarding what
Speak Has to take care of after your graduation. And when I talked to Sajivan 1 year ago about education and physiotherapy, I told him 3 things. Education is about knowledge, it's about skills, and it's about attitude. And the knowledge part is not just everything you're reading in your textbook. When you're looking at the new physiotherapist in 2020, it's about educating your patients, telling them not what's in trouble with them, but asking them more about how's your life at home, how's your wife, how's your kids, what happened. In my case, I got this back pain, not because I had some muscle pains, I was sporting or I had an accident, no, I was playing with my kids, I was doing this. I was throwing my kid up in the air and playing with him, so that's a different back pain, he told me, than when you're sporting, because he thought I had a back pain because I was cycling. So he advised me, okay, next time don't play with your kids like this, play with them like this. Paid him 35 euros, well that's about 20,000 Indian rupees, just to get one advice, play with your kids like this. Some massage, okay. So that's asking your patients not about his injury or his back pain, but asking about what happened to him. That's the starting point of the new kind of physiotherapy. It's about communication skills, asking him what's happening to him. Because it's not just curing a symptom, it's about taking care of the community, taking care of a person. So that's one of the things that Sajivan is good at that. Looking through the medical side, but going to the personal side. But that's asking Sajivan about the skills also, communication skills. And communication is not just about talking, saying hello, how are you, how was your day? It's also communicating about how you should take care of yourself. You should learn to ask more questions like what, how, when, open questions. And at Saxion, our students, they get communication training. Communication training in terms of interviews, in terms of working together as a team. So you have not to one-on-one, but also in a group, talking in a group. That's how they learn to discuss about matters which are about the ailments, about the social situation of their patients. So that's communication. It's not just me talking to you, but also hearing from you what's happening. And then giving feedback. And then the skills parts, very important. And I'm not talking about physiotherapy skills, it's about skills and attitude. When your patients come to you, which are about the ailments, they already know about the social situation of their patients. They already know. So that's communication. It's not just me talking to you, but also hearing from you what's happening. How do I educate? And then giving feedback. My patients, and then the skills to take care of themselves when you're gone, very important. When I'm healed, and I'm not talking about physiotherapy skills, and it does my back, it's about I do my skills and attitude. When your patients come to you, and many things happen about the ailments, they already know about the social situation of the patients. They already know his skills about that's me. How to take care of myself. It's not just in yourself, but also hearing from you when you go what's happening. How do I educate? And then giving feedback. Doesn't end here. My patience,
It's
and
up
then the
to you.
skills. Take care of the
Skills
skills
part.
When you
Take
go,
your exercises.
very important. When I'm healed,
And
then
I'm
I'm talking about physiotherapy skills, and it does my back. It's about skills and attitude. I don't want you to come back again. When your patients come to you, because it's your health care,
things
it's
happen
about
to
the
me,
ailment,
you already know about the situation of your
you already
patients.
know
Your patients
about that's
about
from me. It's not about medication. It's not just
and
you
you're
heal you,
this
but
is
also
about
how
you
you
and
take
you go
care of
happening.
yourself. How do I educate?
And then getting comes to the end here.
My patients, and then the skills. Take care of the
Skills
skills
part.
when you
Take
do
your
exercise.
exercises.
Very important. When I'm healed,
And
then
I'm
I'm talking
talking
about
about
physiotherapy skills, and it does my back. It's about skills and attitude. I don't want you to come back again. When your patients come to you, because it's your health care,
things
it's
happen
about
to
the
me,
ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patients about that's from me. It's not about medication. It's not just you heal you, but also how you take care of yourself. Teaching you and educating comes to the end here. My patients and then the skills. Take care of the skills when you do exercise. Very important. When I'm healed, then I'm talking about physiotherapy skills, and it does my back. It's about skills and attitude. I don't want you to come back again. When your patients come to you, because it's your health care, it's about the ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patient, but that's from me. It's not about medication. It's not just you heal you, but also how you and you go teaching you and educating comes to the end here. My patients and then the skills. Take care of the skills when you do exercise. Very important. When I'm healed, then I'm talking about physiotherapy skills, and it does my back. It's about skills and attitude. I don't want you to come back again. When your patients come to you, because it's your health care, it's about the ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patient, but that's from me. It's not about medication. It's not just you heal you, but also how you and you go teaching you and educating my patients and then the skills. Take care of the skills when you do exercise. Very important. When I'm healed, then I'm talking about physiotherapy skills, and it does my back. It's about skills and attitude. I don't want you to come back again. When your patients come to you, because it's your health care, it's about the ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patient, but that's from me. It's not about medication. It's not just you how you and you go teaching you and educating comes to the end here. My patients and then the skills. Take care of the skills when you do exercise. Very important. I'm healed, and I'm talking about physiotherapy skills, and it does my back. It's about I don't want you to come back again. Your patients come to you, because it's your health care, it's about the ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patient, but that's from me. It's not medication. It's not just you how you and you go teaching you and educating comes to the end here. My patients and skills. Take care of the skills when you do exercise. Very important. I'm healed, and I'm talking about physiotherapy skills, and it does my back. It's about I don't want you to come back again. Your patients come to you, because it's your health care, it's about the ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patient, but that's from me. It's not medication. It's not just you how you and you go teaching you and educating comes to the end here. My patients and skills. Take care of the skills when you do exercise. Very important. I'm healed, and I'm talking about physiotherapy skills, and it does my back. It's about I don't want you to come back again. Your patients come to you, because it's your health care, it's about the ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patient, but that's from me. It's not medication. It's not just you how you and you go teaching you and educating comes to the end here. My patients and skills. Take care of the skills when you do exercise. Very important. I'm healed, and I'm talking about my back. It's about I don't want you to come back again. Your patients come to you, because it's your health care, it's about the ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patient, but that's from me. It's not medication. It's not just you how you go teaching you and educating comes to the end here. My patients and skills. Take care of the skills when you do exercise. Very important. I'm healed, and I'm talking about it's about I don't want you to come back again. Your patients come to you, because it's your health care, it's about the ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patient, but that's from me. It's not medication. It's not just you how you go teaching you and educating comes to the end here. My patients and skills. Take care of the skills when you do exercise. Very important. I'm healed, and I'm talking about it's about I don't want you to come back again. Your patients it's your health care, it's about the ailment, it's not about the situation of your patient. You already know your patient, but that's from me. It's not my patients
No, he was talking about the paper presentation of UG and PG. Please.
Good afternoon to one and all.
The paper presentation will start at 1:30. The paper presentation will start at 1:30 in the respective halls. We have divided into two categories, the UG category, the PG category, and the staff category being together. There is one request to all the paper presenters. Please do not display your name or your college on the slides. Those of you who have prepared your PPTs, please delete your name and your college from where you are from the slides. We will give you numbers for the paper and you will be identified by the numbers. Please take care of that. Your presentations will start at 1:30. You have 2 best papers for the UG category and 2 best papers for the PG and staff category. It's a competition. Thank you.
Now, the morning session is over. From 12:30, you will have refreshment time until 12:40, and after 12:40, you will have to go to ITC hall or the refreshment hall at the side of the venue.